What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of SerieAddicts as a part of the We Kick Balls channel, episode number 2. My name is Marco Romano. Today I'm joined again by,
Tito Yang in the house.
I don't know if you're in that side or in that side, but let's keep it rolling. We're here to talk about match day 1 in the Serie A. Talk a little bit about what we saw kicking off the season, what teams we were impressed by, what teams maybe underachieved or underperformed a little bit based on predictions out there and our own predictions from last week. What else do you want to talk about today, Tito?
I guess any market news that may be interesting, stuff that's been happening lately with some of the top teams. But let's start with the games. The season kicked off on Saturday with a very boring draw between Genoa and Lecce. So, not a lot to talk about when it comes to that game. But right after, we had Napoli and Sassuolo, which was a statement type of game, I would say, from the defending champions.
Pretty good match. Pretty good match by Napoli. Definitely, it looks like McTominay picked up right where he left off last year
We
as
said that in
the
the last
reigning
episode.
MVP of the Serie A.
Mm-hmm.
And De Bruyne starting things off with a goal. Granted, it was kind of a free kick that sneaked in, but still a
A goal is
pretty
a
good free
goal.
kick if it did sneak in.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, that's a good way to start. Goal on his debut. KDB couldn't have done better. Napoli looks very solid. Sassuolo didn't really look like they had a lot of answers for them. Kind of to be expected. They're a team that just came up from Serie B, but you know, I think I was expecting maybe a little bit more of a fight from Sassuolo, but Napoli just basically steamrolled them. Lukaku or no Lukaku, seems like they're doing okay.
Yeah, pretty good match to start things off. Obviously, to your point, there was a clear difference in level from both teams. And to your point, right, they just came up, but so did Cremonese, who did awesome over the
Well,
weekend,
yeah,
right? So
Cremonese.
I think it was more Napoli. You could tell that the team is gelling, right? They're starting to figure out how to play together. Politano, to me, is always playing solid, right?
Yeah,
And obviously McTominay, Sambuanguisa, right? So many players played very well. Um, and again, it's not surprising at all. Not surprising at all. I thought they could have even scored a couple of more goals. Um, but you start off with a win. You start off with your key signing scoring a goal, and you don't concede any goals. So
yeah, and the MVP scores, so that looks
yeah,
it's a good sign for the upcoming season, right? So a good start for Napoli, 100%, definitely. What did surprise me, though, was the other game, Milan Cremonese. I was not expecting Cremonese to actually
mm,
score two. When I saw Baschirotto scored in the first half on the 28th minute, I was like, well, what's going on? Like, I think Milan, it was kind of against the run of play, too, right? Because it seems like Milan kind of had control of that game from like a possession perspective, but not
listen.
really organized
I
defensive wise.
told you on last week, right, that I'm not convinced at all by Milan. I think they got a lot to figure out. And granted, to your point, right, they got a veteran in Allegri who's
Mm.
done well at Milan before. But to me, I don't see a team that is at the level of either Juventus, Inter, or Napoli. To
Well,
me, they're not
dropping points
anywhere
against
near.
Cremonese is not a good look, right? But they're gonna need some time
But
to work
probably one
it
of the
out.
candidates for goal of the season, and for me, it was obviously proud as an Interista seeing Federico Bonazzoli just score a ridiculous bicycle kick goal
Yeah,
on
yeah,
Milan, no less.
yeah. Go
He
watch
even said
that.
it after the game that he was pumped that he scored that goal on
Yeah.
Milan.
If you haven't seen
Um,
that goal, go watch that Bonazzoli beauty.
Oh no, I watched it live. I watched
So
that game
no, I'm not
live,
talk. I'm
and
not talking to you,
it was a
man. I'm
great
talking
goal.
about to people watching this thing. Like, jeez. Okay, so
No, that was it was an amazing goal for
yeah,
me. The best goal I saw in the weekend, hands down. And
yeah.
there were some pretty good goals over the weekend.
But 63% possession for Milan. That's kind of what I was saying. They shot 6 times on goal. You know, Cremonese only had 3 shots the whole game, and they scored with 2 of those. So honestly, it was a
But
little
again,
bit
I told you one of the
unfair.
things I was worried about was their defense. So
I know, but I think here in this case, in the case of this game, you can't let the result confuse you, because in this game, Milan had way more of the ball, right? They had
true, true.
9 corners versus 2 corners for Cremonese. So it was total domination from a stats perspective by Milan, but it just goes to show that this is how football works, you know? Sometimes you can have
Yeah.
the ball the entire match, and they just need to have it for 5 or 6 occasions, and they'll punish you, once or twice. So, big surprise.
Yeah.
I was not expecting Cremonese to beat them,
I
right?
was
Like,
expecting it.
you know,
Not
not
Cremonese,
Cremonese,
to
not
be honest, but
Cremonese. Come on.
I was expecting them to struggle to begin the season.
Yeah.
And to your point, right, Milan dominated across the stat line, except the one that actually matters, which is the
Mm-hmm.
goals. So,
Unfortunately,
but
yeah.
for me, not that surprised again. And for me, no, I was specifically kind of having second thoughts about their defensive setup, and looks like they need a little bit of work. Cremonese, props to them. To your point, Sassuolo, kind of you felt that they showed that they were the team coming up from Serie B, even though they dominated Serie B last season.
Yeah.
Cremonese did not look like it was their first rodeo at all. Looks like they're ready to be back in the Serie A and hope and maybe do some damage.
Yeah, I think just Milan's gonna get organized eventually, right? They're playing with that 3-man back line, and like their midfield still looks really like a work in progress, even though they did bring in Modric. Like, I don't know how much of an impact Modric is gonna have if he's not being supported. Like, if you're playing a Stupinian, Selemakers, and Loftus Cheek, along with, I think Fofana's there too, but it's pretty much a 5-man midfield, and then you just got 3 defenders:
Mm.
Tomori, Gabbia, and then Pavlovic. But I don't think Milan has figured out yet like how they're supposed to play. I think this is like the typical Allegri team that drops a couple of points in the beginning, and then all of a sudden doesn't lose anymore. Once he figures out who plays where, and if they are able to get maybe another 2 signings, they might be difficult. They're talking about maybe signing Rabiot, who was an ex Juve player,
Mm.
and he has big problems right now with his team, and so he's leaving. Uh, and the other player that they're talking about signing is Vlahovic, which I don't think will happen. Honestly, to be honest, I
Mm.
see Vlahovic probably staying at Juventus and taking that money and saying, I'll go for free wherever I want next season. All I gotta do is score every time they put me on, which is what he's doing. But anyways,
No, no. For me, in the midfield wasn't actually that bad. They created a lot of chances. They didn't take advantage of them.
yeah,
But for me, Salamakers was above and beyond Milan's best player on the pitch.
yeah,
Like looked like prime Salamakers. He was getting past people. He was recovering the ball. It was also a positive takeaway as well. Is that even though they lost, definitely Modric can play the Pirlo role in Allegri's system, right? He definitely fits that to a T. And he gives you a little bit more defensively, actually. But as far as the distributor,
no,
he
it gives you
created
less
uh,
defensively than
he
Pirlo
created
used
the
to. I think.
best opportunities. But
Yeah,
Salamakers, I think, played awesome as well. Again, they were missing Leao, right? Again, we talked about in the last week about the issue with him being consistency, right? You start off the season, you don't play the
yeah. I
first
mean,
game right
that's
off the
not
bat.
inconsistency. That's not being healthy, right? Consistency is like when you can play all the time, but you don't bring the same level of performance. I think the problem with Leao right now is unavailability, as opposed to
He was
maybe being
definitely missed on that
consistently
match. I could
available.
guarantee you that if he would have played, I believe they probably it put up at least would have been a better game. I think they would have gotten on the score sheet because they did create a lot of
They would have won.
opportunities. They controlled possession, but they just couldn't get the ball in the back of the net. And to your point, I don't know because it looks like Boniface. Uh,
Boniface.
Boniface. Apparently, it was something that he failed the medicals.
Yeah,
From what I've
they did
heard.
2 medicals and he
So
failed them both, supposedly, from what I've heard, read, seen.
so
Yeah,
I think you do got to get another striker. Like
probably. Well,
otherwise, it's gonna be tough because Pulisic is great, but I don't think he's like he's not a number 9,
of
right?
course not.
So
No, no, no. But like right now,
you, you,
who they have to play that is Jimenez. Basically, would be the
and
number 9, but he's
who
not
did not
really.
have a great game. He missed a header
Yeah,
2 yards from the goal all by himself.
yeah,
Whiffed at it. I don't know, man. It seems like Vlahovic would actually be a really good fit. But to
yeah.
your point, I don't know if his performance with Juve this weekend may have changed people's minds. Although I also read, I know we don't want to talk about the transfer market. I heard that there's some positive steps that have been taken towards bringing back Colomwani, which would be awesome.
Positive steps. So I guess we'll talk about it later. But yeah, we'll discuss that.
But they need a striker. They need a number 9. I think Milan do
Yes,
need
and
a solid number
Harder.
9.
They had signed Harder, but that fell through. So now he's not. So Boniface
Mm-hmm.
canceled. Harder got too hard, and I guess they canceled the transfer. And so now what they're left with is they're trying to look at other options, but there's not really a lot of options around. So Vlahovic seems to be the most reasonable one. But again, if I'm Juve, I'd be like, I don't know if I want to give you Vlahovic. You know what I mean? Like Milan, I probably want to send him somewhere else or keep him. Like I'm not gonna go make a direct rival better by giving them a striker that could possibly change their season. Like if it were me, I mean I would tell them I know Milan and Juve have really good relationships when it comes to the back office and just historically, but this is not a deal that I would do if I were Juve unless they're like, we'll give you 30 million euro, and with that money, we can make up for the difference between what we wanted to pay for Colomwani and what Paris Saint Germain wants now. So,
Mm.
you know. You
I
want to
get it.
talk about Roma
Either
Bologna?
keep paying his salary, which for a Serie A player is ridiculous. I think it's like 12 a year,
No,
right?
it's not. See,
For
that's
for
the
Vlahovic.
problem. I saw Matteo Silvestri saying that on a podcast for like CBS. He's not making 12 million a year. He makes 6 million a year, and then there's a bonus, right? Where in June he's gonna get an extra. It's gonna go up to 8, and he's gonna get like an extra 4 in bonuses. Which, if he stays until June, he's gonna make 12 million this year. But that doesn't mean that the salary is 12 million a
But
year.
that's what you got to take. But
Yeah,
that's what's in the balance. To your point,
yeah.
right? Because last week you said I would rather give him to Milan for free instead of having him go to Napoli,
That's
right?
because if those are the only
So
two
you
options.
change your mind a
No,
little
no, no,
bit
no,
watching
no.
him score the second goal.
That has to do with, you said if he had to go to Napoli. I said I'd rather give him to Milan for free than have him go to Napoli. That's different, right? Than saying if there's no offer from Napoli, I wouldn't give him for free to Milan for sure.
So it's the Ademola Lookman situation with Atalanta. It's like we're not gonna give him to Inter and just have to play against him. Because I believe, honestly, I would be. Obviously, he would play a lot more in either Milan, Napoli, maybe not when Lukaku gets back, but until Lukaku comes back, he would definitely start, right? But at Milan, he would probably be their starting number 9, regardless.
Lukaku? I mean, sorry, Lukman?
No, Vlahovic.
Oh, Vlahovic. Yes, yes, 100%. He would be the starting number 9. But the thing is, does Milan want to pay him 6 million a season? Is the question. Probably. Like they don't have a better striker, so I mean, if I were them, I would do it.
Yeah, and not a whole lot of options either. That's the
Yeah,
problem,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
So
yeah,
that's why
exactly.
they would do it.
If I were Milan, I would do it 100%. Like I
And
wouldn't
then
even think
two
about
of
it.
the strikers that you were going after, they fell apart. Those fell apart. So there's
Exactly.
not a whole lot of time left. But to your point, maybe it's Juve is I'm not gonna make your team better. Fuck it. I'm
Yeah.
gonna pay a little bit more for him,
Mhm.
even though he's not gonna play as much.
Yeah.
But you never know what can happen. Then you have Davi get injured all of a sudden.
No, I mean we have to get another striker. That's not that's not up for debate, right? But it's not it's not like we're not looking at other options, right? There's always Colomwani like in the background. So if Vlahovic leaves for any kind of money, I'm sure we're jumping on Colomwani immediately. That's what I'm thinking Juventus need to do. But anyways, the last game of Saturday, since we're talking about the games and not the transfer market at this point, is Roma Bologna. Roma Bologna, Wesley, newly acquired Wesley,
Mm.
signed for Roma and scored for Roma in his first official Serie A match. Pretty good start for Wesley.
I mean, good start for him, but I really didn't like that game. Right, there wasn't a ton going on in the game. They were playing pizza, right? So
No, they're playing Bologna, Roma Bologna.
but they play Bologna.
Yeah, 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 Roma Bologna.
No, that was surprising then because I didn't feel that the game that was that good. To be honest, it was contested, but
It was pretty even in terms of possession, right? Like 51 to 49%. And then but not a lot happening. Like very defensive match. Only 4 shots on goal for Roma, 2 shots on goal for Bologna. So not the most exciting
as I was
game
saying,
for sure.
I remember seeing the highlights and it just wasn't. It
Lots of
didn't look like a
fouls.
game that I was upset about missing at all.
Yeah, 28 fouls total. So it's like a pretty rough game, pretty dirty game. Not really like a game that was pleasing to the eye. Roma pulled it off in the end, with not in the end, in the 53rd of the second half, but they at least they start off with a victory, right? So it's a positive start for them from that perspective
Yeah, no,
in a game
absolutely.
that could
From
have been
from that
tougher,
standpoint,
right?
at the end of
Bologna.
the day, you get a win and you don't concede a goal.
Right, and Bologna is
That's a good way to start.
not an easy team. It's one of the maybe top 8 right now still. So
I don't know, brother. I talked about it. I don't know if you saw Como play, but I'm telling you, I have a sneaky suspicion that they're gonna finish a little bit higher this season.
but let's talk about Cagliari and Fiorentina. That was a 1-1 draw where like Luperto basically in the 4th minute of added time, which they added 8 minutes to that game, which is like a little bit ridiculous if you ask me. But it was a 1-1 draw where Luperto basically in the 4th minute of added time just pulled one out. Mandragora had scored in the 45th, and then I guess he came on the second half and scored immediately. Uh, Keane was kept scoreless, and it was a pretty like not pretty even game, although Fiorentina dominated a little bit possession wise, but they were held to a single shot on goal on that match versus 6 for Cagliari. So Fiorentina's got some work to do, obviously.
I don't know what I told you last week. For me, I didn't have him like getting into any of the top six position for Europe next season. I think hopefully they do something before the market, or at least maybe their coaching staff sees something that I don't see. But in my opinion, I don't think they're gonna finish better than they did last season.
Yeah. Uh I mean, last season they had a decent finish, right, for their size. So, I mean, they also sold a lot of players in the summer, last summer. They were able to keep Moise Ken this season. I mean, at least so far. And they added, I think, Zeko, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
But I don't think he was available for this match. Yeah, actually, he was on the bench. Uh, but I don't know. I think there's still gonna be a work in progress also because they changed managers. Um, their manager left at the end of last season,
Mhm.
which was surprising to me because I felt like he had done a pretty good job. But it is what it is. They got Pioli now, so that's gonna be
There's a
interesting.
lot of changers as far as managers in the Serie A for this season for sure.
All right, let's talk about your favorite team this year, who defeated Lazio 2-0 at Como. So the new Manchester
The
City
dark
of Italian
horse.
football, Como, the team with the most money, all of a sudden,
Yep.
the team with the richest owners, has just
Hmm.
bought themselves
I
a
don't know about
2
that, but
0 victory against Lazio, who's like usually a solid team, and they gave Sarri a very rough welcome back to the Serie A.
hmm no,
Pretty
I told you
interesting.
that's the sleeper for this season. I think they're sneaky good. They have a lot of talent. They picked up some talented young players and players like Morata to bring some leadership into the squad as well. It's gonna be good to watch them. Not only did they score twice, Nico Paz scored an amazing
Oh
free
yeah,
kick.
beautiful free kick goal.
Uh, I tell you that kid is so good. I wish Inter would have signed him, but he's gonna cost way too much for us to afford him anytime soon.
Yeah,
But they played well. They hit the post a couple of times. They created a ton of opportunities. They're fun to watch. They're a team that they're just fun to watch, right? And they also got to a great start in the season, right? Nico Bass had that amazing
yeah.
goal, had an assist as well.
Also
They were
dominated
playing great
Lazio.
offensively.
Lazio had less than 40% possession. They were unable to just keep the ball against them. Lazio had a single shot on goal the entire match. Como has six. It was just 6-0 the corners. It was just like not even a contest for most of the match, right? Like Como was able to keep the ball. They had a nice passing style, and I'm sure like Fabregas, their coach, has a lot to do with that, probably with the way they play. Um, and it's just good, nice to see. That's another game that I saw, and you know, it's an appealing style of football to watch, and I think, like you said, I think Como is gonna surprise a lot of people. We were saying that in the previous episode. Um, but again, it's very early. It's very early, and I think Como.
It's early, but I think again it's they're set up for success. And to your point, like yeah, they're a team that had the most money right now in Serie A, but it's not like they're going out there and getting crazy players.
They won't get them because they're not playing in Europe, or they don't really have a lot of attractive things to offer yet. But I think
Mm-hmm.
they're gonna get more investments in the near future. They're gonna be interesting, but it's gonna be a problem of depth. When you get farther along through the season and you start having these weeks where you play multiple times to make up for other dates. And I think that's where when Como is gonna start feeling the impact of having, it's not like Inter or Napoli who have basically, 17, 18 starters in their teams. Uh, these other teams have 11 good ones or maybe 9 or 8 good ones, and the rest are just, they're trying to, brought them up from Serie B, and they haven't been able to replace them or upscale those positions, right? So it's gonna be interesting to see how it develops along, the course of the season. But they definitely play a very attractive style of football.
Yeah, very entertaining to watch. And to your point, that's what I hope. I also hope that the players that are playing well and building a name for themselves while helping the team grow, that some of them actually stick it out and be ride or die for their team as they continue to grow. And
That doesn't happen
it's
anymore, but it's nice wishful thinking. I agree with the sentiment. So let's talk about
Let's see.
Atalanta.
Let's see.
Atalanta got a nice goal by Scamacca, but they got scored on. I guess if you can call that
They've
scored on
lost
because it was an
they've
own
lost a
goal.
lot, right?
It was an own
It's
goal,
tough,
right?
and that's why what I said on the first week. I didn't really have them. What I had them. I think if I would put them like eighth, mid table right now,
Yeah, it's gonna
because
be a bit rough.
they lost Gasperini, right? They all lost players like for the past 3 years. A lot of their key players. Lukman, who knows what's gonna happen with him right now? He's not
Yeah,
even training with the team yet, so
and they
you hope
hired
you get him back, but
they hired Ivan Juric as the coach, and to me, Ivan Juric is kind of a very hot-headed coach who's like a tough character, and he's sometimes kind of hard to deal with from a psychological perspective. He's kind of a rough around the edges type of guy, um, who was famously caught on video arguing with his management. You know, when he used to be, I think, a coach of Torino. Probably, I want to say I might be mistaken on that, but I'll check. But yeah, definitely like a rough character, rough around the edges. And when the situation is the way it is at Atalanta, where you're like one of those border teams that you could almost make Europe every year, or you could fall out of Europe, and that's gonna make a huge difference in the amount of money that you're making that season. I don't know. It's kind of an explosive situation that could go in a many different ways. I hope it it ends up positively with Juric showing what he can do, and with Atalanta doing what they always do, which is taking some semi-unknown players and turning them into Serie A stars, so that then they can sell them to Juve and have them suck at Juve, which is what they.
let's hope that that's the case.
Yeah, you want that to be the case,
I
don't
don't
you?
know. For me, it's tough, right? Because you let Retegui go, right, and then you don't. Lukman's not playing. Scamacca didn't have a great season last year, right? So
Well, he
you
was
hope
injured most of the
that he
time, though.
gets better, but true. But it's again they've been losing a lot of players now. They have a new coach. To your point, with a different personality, right? A different
Yeah,
playing style. So it's gonna be adapt or die. But if I still, I know again it's the season only starting, but I see them mid table, right? Unfortunately for all the fans, right? I don't see him getting to an Europa spot for next season.
yeah, I agree. I agree. Okay, so next game, the other game was Juventus Parma. Juventus Parma.
Mm.
Juve looked good, I have to say. First half started off a little bit slow, but honestly, once they replaced Locatelli with Coop Miners and they were playing Kalulu on the right side, and then Joao Mario came in. Once they made those two kind of adjustments, the offense started flowing, and it was really, really hard for Parma to keep Juve off of their own half. Uh, and, Jonathan David scored in his debut, which is always a positive thing. Kenan Yildiz was awesome. He was just dribbling at defenders and creating chances, putting in crosses, taking people on. It's really a really really good game. From a Juve perspective, Bremer was solid. He was like a wall on the back, like on the defense.
Almost got injured within the first couple of minutes again.
Oh yeah, he got hit in the head, but then he put on the Chiellini bandana, and the spirit of Chiellini took over, and he was like blocking everything. So Bremer was, like we were saying in the previous episode, he was one of our better signings because we didn't have him for the entire season. But also Vlaovic came in, who is a player that everybody's saying is leaving, and it took him 20 minutes to not 20 minutes. It took him, I don't know, a couple of minutes. He scored
No
in the
way. Yeah.
74th. It's like 4 minutes to get on the scoreboard. with a very, very nice play started by Joao Mario on the right. Another, good combination with Yildiz for Yildiz's second assist. And, Yildiz, as Yildiz, two assists,
It is what it yield is,
you
bro.
know?
But yeah, for me, he's gonna be key for them, right? If Yildiz can keep playing like he finished last season, like he played in the FIFA Club World Cup,
Yep.
he's talented as hell. For me, just let him go, let him run with it.
Hmm.
2 assists to start off. And that play with Blaovic, that was a very nice play, right? To your point, started with John Mario, but they had Yildiz and Blaovic got involved. That was a great goal. The
Yeah.
the cross for David's goal was also really good. But Parma did create a ton of opportunities, right? They were a little bit rocky there. Obviously, you started to see the confidence build up throughout the game with having Bremer back. Um, Obviously, the Cambiaso red card, that was dumb as hell, and now he also misses the next 2 matches, I believe, which that includes the derby.
Yeah, you're very happy
Um,
about that one, I bet, because we have to play Inter without
I,
Cambiaso. We don't really have a good
I
replacement.
wish it happened to like Bremer or Yildiz,
No,
right?
man, Cambiaso is like who else do we have on the left now? It's gonna have to be McKenny. And that's why we need more respect towards McKenny. Which by the way, there's a story about McKenny that nobody has talked about, which I thought it was very curious. I don't know why people haven't mentioned
He
this.
dropped a new single.
He's got the hottest new single in Billboard Top 10. No, but what I'm talking about is during the friendly with the next gen, McKenny in the first half, there were 2 episodes where Tudor was trying to give him instructions. McKenny was like,
Mhm.
he was barking back, like you could tell. You couldn't tell what he was telling him, but you could tell he was kind of like barking back, and it almost seemed like an argument. During the end of the end of the half, right, or the start of the second half, and McKenny has the captain's armband when he started, right? So he's wearing the captain's armband, and then he's having this conversation with Tudor, and then when he comes out on the second half, he's not wearing the captain's armband anymore, but he's still on the pitch, and Locatelli is not on the pitch. Usually, like during the Club World Cup and during the first 9 games that Tudor was in charge, he had the captain's armband alternate between Locatelli and McKenny. So whoever was on the pitch would wear it. Tudor kept that from the Thiago Motta days, but then and he kept it going throughout the Club World Cup and the first couple of friendlies that Juve played, in Germany. But now against the next
So
gen,
Locatelli gave the armband to McKenny, and then Tudor gave it to somebody else. Is that what happened?
no. So what happened was in that game against next gen, Locatelli was
Oh,
not
this was
playing.
another match, not
Yeah,
this
yeah.
match. Okay.
Locatelli was not on the field. McKenny started with the captain's armband, and
Okay,
then
okay, yeah,
during
because that's different. I thought, because when I thought you were talking about the last game, and obviously Locatelli was the captain,
yeah, it seemed like
right?
McKenny
So
and
because it's
Tudor.
weird, right? Because then it's respect. It's whoever's the captain on the field. If he gets subbed out, he decides who he gives the armband to,
No,
right?
no, he gives it to a designated
So
person. He gives it to somebody that's assigned. So like if McKenny and Locatelli are on the pitch at the same time, Locatelli comes out. He used to give the armband to McKenny, who was like
okay.
vice captain, right? When Thiago was there for a little bit, after he was done with the rotating captains. And then what I saw change was like McKenny was wearing the captain's armband during the first half of that next gen match. He stayed on the field for the second
Hmm.
half. Locatelli was not in, and the captain's armband was on Gatti's arm. So during the ending of the first half of that next gen
And
game,
Gatti played the first half as well.
Gatti was playing. I think he was playing the first half as well. I'm not sure. But the
Yeah,
thing
because
is,
if he played the first half, then that was weird. If
you
not,
could
because
see,
maybe to your point, the ranking, right? If Gatti comes on for the second half, then he gives it to Gatti.
yeah, that could have been it. But it was weird to me, especially because I saw them arguing during a break in the first half,
Mm.
and right when the first half ended. If you go back and watch the video, you'll see that the first half of that match ends with Tudor and McKennie having some sort of argument, like at close to the center of the field, close to the benches, and they keep arguing. Everybody's going back to the dressing rooms, and they're still talking. And then after that, when he came back out, he didn't have the captain's armband. So I wonder if something happened. Nobody's reporting it. Maybe not. But a week after, so a couple days ago, they announced that the new captains of the team, and they announced like 5 names, and McKennie was not one of those. So I thought that was interesting.
Mm.
Anyways, just a little bit of interesting news in case somebody picks this one up. Nobody's talked about it yet, but
You drama, okay.
Juve drama.
No, but that's definitely weird,
Yeah.
especially if he was one of the players that was consistently wearing the armband. Previously, all of a sudden you choose five, and he's not within any of
Right.
those fives. That's kind of weird.
It
And I don't
is.
know Tudor's coaching style, right? I know players and managers can argue all the time.
Yep.
Sometimes it's not a big deal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Depending on the coach's personality. To your point, somebody that's rough around the edges.
Yeah.
uh, but maybe there's something there. Maybe
Oh,
there's
and I
a little bit
forgot.
of grudge. I
I
don't know.
forgot to
But
add.
he came on. At least he came on because I
No,
think
but what?
both you
One
and
more
I
thing.
said that we would prefer McKennie to Locatelli starting.
Yeah, but one more thing. One more thing. But that was during the next gen friendly. In the friendly after that against Atalanta, McKennie only played like the last 6 minutes. So that's
Okay.
another thing. And then an
And
extra
he
thing.
and I think in this game also he came on
Yeah, late in the
right
second half,
after Blaovic scored his goal. I think he
close to
only
the
got a couple of minutes as
yeah,
well.
close to the end. But another thing was that same week that that happened, a couple of days after, it was announced that Di Gregorio was taking number 16, which used to belong to McKennie, and McKennie took 22, which used to belong to Timothy Weah. So that was another interesting thing that happened with McKennie
That's
that week, which is 16 for a
yeah. It
goalkeeper
seems like
is
there's
a
something
weird
there.
ass
A lot
number.
of coincidences.
Yeah, exactly. Too many
Yeah,
coincidences for my taste.
that sucks because I think McKennie again, and we talked about it on last week's episode. Is he's undervalued,
Yes.
underappreciated.
Yep.
He can fill in a lot of holes. You needed him for that match, right? Cambiaso goes out with for slapping another player in the face, essentially.
Yeah.
Uh, and
Very
you could
stupid.
plug McKennie in because he could play a lot of different positions. So
Yeah, McKennie is a player any coach would want on his bench because you can plug him into
yeah,
a lot of positions. He'll do a decent job. So I think he should get
I
more
don't know.
credit. I think he should get more money. I think he should go to a club where he starts. Maybe just we've
Maybe
treated him
there's something
terribly.
there, but again, right? I thought what I expected out of Juventus. I know you had him at fourth. You had Milan ahead of him last week, which is
Yeah,
kind of crazy. Obviously, it's still early in the season again,
early.
but for me, Juventus looked solid. Right, they created a lot of opportunities. A little rocky in the beginning. Again, Parma did have some chances. They didn't take advantage of them, but obviously overwhelming on all statistics on the Juventus side.
Yeah,
And good to see Yildiz start off with 2 assists. I know he's gonna score some goals as well.
solid play.
David breaking the ice first match in, right? So they're gonna be solid. I'm telling you, they're gonna be solid this season. They have a lot of depth. That's well, they'll probably be fine until they play Inter with Cambiaso being out.
I will probably
But
still
I
beat
think they're
you
gonna
because
be there battling for the title for sure.
Juventus, like regardless of how they're doing, they always play well against Inter because there's like that whole
Because it's the rivalry.
motivation. Yeah.
You get
So
motivated. There's more motivation on those days.
yeah. So the last two games of this match day were Udinese and Verona, which was a 1-1 draw with Christensen and then Serdar. I want to say that properly.
Surter.
Serdar catching Udinese up with Hellas Verona, putting them on level terms. Um,
Mm.
Udinese, more or less, I would say, controlled that match as well, over 60% possession versus 37 for Verona. Not a lot of difference in shots on goal though, so Udinese wasn't really able to turn that possession into a lot of attacking opportunities. they had 5 corners versus one for Verona. Not really. I mean, obviously Udinese's domination was obvious, but then if you can't put the ball on the back of the net, then you have the same problem that Milan had against Cremonese, right? Udinese was lucky that they were only they got away with a 1-1 and that Verona didn't score more times, but again, it was pretty even match in terms of shots on goals, but from a possession perspective, Udinese dominated that game, and we would have expected them to beat Verona, but they didn't.
Yeah, I mean, but I feel Nessa has a solid enough squad where again they'll be mid table this season. But again, right out of all a lot of compared to a lot of other matches going on in the weekend to kick off the season, definitely didn't mind not seeing that one for the full match. But again, I think they have a solid team. I think they're going to be mid table. I doubt they're going to pull any surprises. They
Man,
have some very solid players, but
I, I don't agree
with
that they're gonna be
again,
mid-table, dude. Like
there's a
mid-table
difference
is
between
top
the
10.
first 4 or 5 and the rest of the pack. There's going to be a clear difference.
Like mid-table is top 10. You think Udinese are really a top 10 team? Like if you take Inter,
I
Milan,
think
Juve,
they'll be around there,
Napoli,
around the
Fiorentina,
10th spot.
Atalanta. I think Udinese are gonna be fighting for relegation. I think they're gonna be like 16th
No, I
or
don't
or
think so. I
15th
don't think so.
on the
I think
table.
they
You're
have
gonna
Christensen,
you're gonna
Lovely,
cut this
a
part
couple
of
of
the show.
great players.
You're gonna see it in the
Sole.
future, and you're gonna be like, "Oh my God, man, you were right." And also, you're gonna take that where I said that Juve is gonna finish below Milan, and you're gonna cut that, and you're gonna say, "Whoa, man, you were wrong." I hope that's the case in the future. But let's talk about the game you've been waiting for the entire hour to talk about, which
Everybody's been waiting for
which
this.
was Inter's complete destruction of Torino. 5 goals, 5 goals. Did you guys were you guys taking revenge for that Champions League final by just beating up on poor little Torino? That's not
I
the
mean,
way to go.
obviously, Torino did not have a good match at all. Duan Zapata didn't play, but
Yeah,
the difference in quality was just
devastating.
it was night and day, right? It was a Serie A team playing against a Serie B team almost. Like I felt bad for Simeone and some of the Torino players because it was that bad.
He was
And for
ugly.
me, obviously, the best freaking start that you would want to have, right? 5 goals, 4 different players scoring. You have Boni scoring on his debut just a couple
Yeah,
of minutes after coming in. And by the way, props to Lautaro because he literally gifted him that goal. Lautaro could have easily scored. Actually, Boni had a defender closer to him. Lautaro was completely open, but it says a lot about Lautaro. Also, Lautaro, the goal that he scored is because of the pressure going all out defensively, which I think if Turam starts doing that as well, Inter are going to be very hard to beat.
Turam had the
Uh,
brace. Turam had the brace. Two
to,
goals.
and it was that first that first goal, Turam's first goal, for me, and I think for a lot of people, I think he even got him player of the match. Sucic. I said it's that was probably Inter's best pickup during the summer market. For me, it's kind of like a Brozovic, and he covered the most ground during the match, right? But he was creating a lot of opportunities, moving the ball better than Barella, that made a ton of mistakes at one point, gave the ball away 3 times in a row. That I was like, dude, what the hell is wrong with you? But Susic was solid offensively, had a couple of chances as well on goal, created a couple of more chances, assisted that ball to Duram, like no look pass. Nobody else saw it. It was freaking perfect. Great finish by Duram. But defensively as well, he recovered a ton of the possession quite a few times. For me, it's kind of like a Brozovic, but actually even a little bit faster and even a little bit kind of more creative offensively. For me, Brozovic was a better passer, like longer distance, crossing the ball, and a better hold up midfielder. But Sucic, for his first match with Inter, right, you would think that he would be nervous. He was the best player on the pitch for us. We could have even played better. Barella didn't have a great game. DiMarco played okay. Dumfries again was solid. Pavard made a couple of mistakes. One in particular that with a team like Juventus or Napoli, that's a goal. We were just lucky that we were playing against a deflated Torino to begin the season. It was just sad. It looked sad for Torino, which was surprising because they were coming off a win in Coppa Italia, but it was lackluster performance across the board from Torino.
Yeah.
Great start for Inter, but I think they could have even played better, which is promising.
That's yeah, and honestly, I was more surprised by how terribly Torino played than by how well Inter played because I don't think, like you're saying in the previous episode, it doesn't look like Christian Kivu is changing a lot in terms of the way the team plays in formation wise, right? So maybe his attitude is a little bit more kind of aggressive and in your face than
Yep,
what
that's it.
Inzaghi used to be, and I think that
It's
makes a
more aggressive.
difference.
There's a lot more pressure,
Yeah,
right? But
and
as
he
far as
has
the system,
physical
it's still the
players.
same.
He has very strong physical players in all areas of the pitch. So like doing that with that type of squad can be very devastating for a team that can't match the pure physical and technical level that Inter bring to the game with all these players in different positions, right? They have very good, like just like a solid framework of players in
Yep.
each spot. So I think Inter is gonna definitely be one of the favorites for the title, playing the way they played. But obviously, we have to see. Torino was an accomplice in this match. In
Yeah, yeah.
in you know,
Yep.
so I want to see Inter against a tougher team. I think the first real test is gonna come against Juve in the third match day, because
Yeah.
the next
And
team they
to
play is
your point,
Udinese.
like Torino had their chances, right? They had a couple of chances, right? So
Yeah.
and still I feel that both Juve and Napoli, in my opinion, have a better defense. Um, Inter is just again like Bastoni's awesome, but Acerbi is up there, right, in years.
Yeah.
He's not fast. He's a great defender. He's solid. He's physical, but he's just savvy as well. But some of the times,
Very
especially when
experienced.
he goes up in attack, it creates a lot of gaps. I think Inter, to your point, they're kind of playing that same savvy formation, and what they're awesome at is backing each other up. Right? Whenever anybody's out of position, you see one other player like sprinting to cover for them,
Yeah, covering.
which you love to see because it shows like how united the team is. Which is, I was telling you what I was hoping after getting smacked in the face in the Champions League final by PSG. Right?
Hmm.
There's only two ways that you could respond. You could either completely shut down, or you could get pissed off about it and want to right the wrong. Right? So that's what it looked like. It can't be hard when you're seeing your captain Lautaro like closing down spaces, pressuring the ball. He's been in the pitch for 70 minutes and still he's sprinting towards the last defender, right? In Boni's goal, it came from Lautaro putting pressure again. The goalkeeper had the goal. Lautaro put some pressure, right? It was an errant pass. They cut the ball, swung it over to Lautaro. Lautaro gave a freebie to Boni uh, to break the ice for his Inter career. But the first Lautaro goal, the same. He putting pressure on the ball. So that's what I liked about it. But again, for me, I still have my concerns about the defense, especially Pawad and Acerbi on that side. Right, not so much on the Bastoni side because Dimarco plays a little bit more up front. If Dimarco played a little bit deeper, I would also be concerned with that side as well, just because of his size, not because he's not a great defender, because he is. But yeah, defensively, I'm concerned. Midfield, I'm not concerned at all. Right, Barella had a bad game, but that's not going to happen often. And we have the Chalanoglu option, and now knowing that Sucic can play Barella's role at least, because it was kind of Barella filling in for Chalanoglu, and then Sucic had a more kind of free role like Barella typically has. But he played that role to perfection. So it's gonna be solid in the midfield. Obviously, in attack, it's a lot better than last season. Lautaro and Turam, especially Turam, started right. as he started last season as well, that he started scoring a ton of goals. Hopefully that continues. But now having Boni, having Pio Esposito on the bench, right, having those additional options, it's going to be great to have versus Taremi and Arnautovic. I think some of the other players, right, Diouf entered. He was the only one other than Barella that was not sharp. He came in, lost the ball a couple of times. Obviously, even Kibu mentioned maybe I kind of threw into the fire a little bit early, right? He just got here. But it's going to be interesting to see if he can add anything.
Yeah, it's
But
definitely gonna be
Carlos Augusto played well.
a season where Inter's gonna show whether their strength is the roster, the management,
The
the team
depth
culture,
as
the
well.
depth,
That's going to
right?
be
Because
key.
it's a long season. There's a lot of games. Inter's in the Champions
Yep.
League. They're in every tournament. So again, this is new for Christian Kibu. He's never managed the team in multiple competitions. Apart from the Coppa Italia, right? But he's gonna be in Europe now. So all that, is gonna be dependent on whether he can use the players successfully. And the same can be said for Antonio Conte's Napoli, who did not have a European competition last season, and obviously that obviously helped in terms of them being able to keep their position because they weren't having to rotate players as much. So that being said, let's talk a little bit about the next date, which starts this Friday on the 29th, with Cremonese against Sassuolo. That's a good opportunity for two teams that had a terrible start.
Yep.
I'm sorry, Cremonese
Hey,
actually
that's
had
going
a
to
great
be
start.
the promoted
Yeah,
derby,
that's like
right?
the promoted derby, but one team had a great start, the other team had a terrible
The
start.
other team didn't.
So let's see if
Yeah, but
Cremonese can do a
one
repeat.
team played against a much better opponent as well, right? So
That's true. Yeah. Well, Sassuolo played against a better opponent, or like who played against a better opponent? Sassuolo played
well, true
Napoli.
actually,
Yeah, I
because
guess.
Cremonese.
Yeah. Cremonese played Milan. Sassuolo played Napoli, right?
Mm,
So yeah,
yeah,
Sassuolo
well,
played
I
a
would
tougher
say
team.
Napoli's better, right?
Yeah,
So,
definitely, hundred
but
percent.
still, you would think Milan would do better. But yeah, that game again, obviously it's not one that I'm gonna
So what's your
probably
prediction?
watch live, but
What's your prediction? Sassuolo Cremonese wins. I'm gonna
well,
say,
after the first match, I gotta go with Cremonese,
yeah,
right?
me too. I'm gonna
On
say
that
they're
one,
gonna ride the,
I gotta go with Cremonese on that
they're
one.
gonna ride
Como
the high.
Bologna.
Yeah. No, the next one, Lecce Milan is also on Friday. So
Now you hope Milan get it together. You hope that Rafa Leao plays, right? If
yeah,
so, I think Milan get the win.
though they're playing away at Via del Mare, which is never like a easy place to go to. So I'll have Milan winning this time. I think they're
Yeah,
gonna be able to turn their dominance into goals. I don't think they're gonna have a striker by then, so let's see what Allegri does to remediate that. Um, but yeah, I think Milan should pull this through and
it
get get over
depends.
that
If
disappointment.
Leao is back and can play,
We'll see. I think he's day
I
to
think
day.
they'll be good. They'll be again. They created a ton of chances. Match day one. I think if Leao plays, they'll probably create the same chances, and they'll put a few of those away.
Yeah, Bologna Como. I'm gonna call that one a draw. I think Bologna and Como because they're playing at Bologna. So Como is visiting. Um, I think Como again young team. I'm expecting some inconsistency. Bologna is a little bit more seasoned. They were in Europe last year. Um, so I think they should have like overall like a more solid roster, even though they get lost a couple pieces. But let's see. I think that one's gonna be pretty even.
I'm gonna go 3-1 for Como.
Okay, 3-1. That's heavy. Atalanta Parma. What do you think that's gonna look like? I think Atalanta's gonna get that one.
I think that I'll give Atalanta the edge, but I think they can't sleep on Parma because Atalanta's struggling. And again, Parma, they did create a couple of chances, right, against Juve,
Yeah,
right?
but they
So
changed their.
w-
Oh, Parma is the
was
ones that have the
way better
coach.
defensively.
Yeah, Parma are the ones who have the coach that's 30 years old, and he's never been a professional player. That Cuesta guy.
But
Yeah,
I think you can't sleep on him. If I'm judging based on what I saw on match day one,
yeah.
right? So to your point, I would probably give Atalanta the edge. I would say
From a
probably a
roster
1-0
perspective.
or a 2-1.
Yeah.
not by much, but I think Atalanta win that one.
Yeah, me too. Let's see though, because Ivan Juric could mess things up, but let's see. Hopefully, Atalanta pull through. Napoli Cagliari, I have that down as a Napoli win. Obviously, forget about it. That one's easy.
Yeah.
Facile, facile.
Oh, forget about it.
Facile,
Yeah,
facile, facile,
Napoli for
facile.
sure. Again,
Yeah,
Napoli looks solid
yeah,
in their first match. I think they're gonna even gel better second go around now
yeah.
that they have a win, but under their belt. De Bruyne got on the board. Right, McTominay got on the board quickly again. So
And
I think
supposedly,
definitely Napoli.
supposedly they're signing Hoylund from Manchester United, who would come
Mhm.
in as a striker to kind of not replace Lukaku but fill in while Lukaku is injured. So that would be
Different
also,
type of player, definitely.
yeah, but still a big
Definitely
striker.
an upgrade, right, from what they have now available without Lukaku.
Yep.
But yeah, still without Lukaku, without Holding, I would say Napoli
Mm-hmm.
beat Cagliari. Because for me, Napoli it's also their defense, right?
And their midfield.
It's going to be interesting to see how many goals they concede. But I think this one is going to be
Not a
probably
lot.
like a 1-0 or a 2-0 Napoli victory.
Yeah, I think it's probably going to be more, but we'll see. The other one is Roma Pisa. Roma Pisa, I'd say Roma should win this one
Roma,
comfortably.
yeah,
Pisa is new promoted. Then you have
yeah,
Juventus,
I agree.
Juventus Genoa, which Juventus Genoa, I think Juve honestly, even though they're away, are gonna pull this one off. They're looking solid. Honestly, based on what I've seen from Juventus in the first couple of friendlies and the first game of the season, only Inter Napoli, only Inter and Napoli, honestly, to me, have a chance of beating them, in a direct
I told you, brother. I
encounter.
told you.
But
Had him second.
yeah, but they're the type of team that sometimes slips up against smaller teams. So
No,
hopefully that's
as
not the
long
case this year.
they need to watch their temper, and not have Cambiaso smacking people on the pitch.
That was so
But
stupid.
yeah, I agree with you, right? That I'll definitely give that one to Juve as well, right?
Yeah.
Genoa, for me, I'm gonna see them just to watch how Valentin Carboni plays with them. But yeah, for this match, maybe they score a goal, but I think Juve put 2 or 3 on the board easy.
Yeah, that's gonna be an interesting game to watch though. Genoa never easy opponent, and you're playing over there. You're playing at their stadium. So next game, Torino Fiorentina. What do you think is gonna happen there?
Based on Torino's performance against Inter, I see it very hard for them to improve as much as they would need for them to get a win against Fiorentina right now. So I would definitely lean towards Fiorentina getting the W on that one.
Same, same, same. But it is at Torino, so they're playing in Torino, in their stadium. So that
I mean, it depends.
might
Hopefully,
change things.
Zapata plays as well because I just think it changes their style of play when you have Zapata up front, right? That physical presence up front. Now, then, kind of Simeone can play a different type of role, right? He could just be that floater, right? Just going across and around Zapata. Let him be the anchor of the offense.
I
But
think he's gonna
still,
be able
right?
to play, but
Based
he's
on
not
that
gonna
first on
start.
those the 2 first matches, for both teams, I gotta give the edge to Fiorentina. So I would say Fiorentina probably scores 2 or 3 goals on Torino as well. If Inter
Yeah.
scored 5, I'm pretty sure Fiorentina can score 2 or 3.
I think it's just gonna be a matter of time before Pioli figures something out with this team because he's a pretty decent manager. He's got a lot of experience, and I think he could do well with the players that he has there.
And when Aslani comes in as well, it's going to
Yeah.
change, right? I think Aslani's going to have a good year at Torino. He's going to give that team a little bit of more stability in the midfield. So I don't know if he's playing this match, if he'll be ready to go for this match, but I think he'll definitely improve the team once he's on the pitch.
Inter Udinese. We all know how that one's gonna end. Udinese is not looking good this year. Um, So I think Inter probably gonna steamroll that one. 3
Yeah,
nil. I'm gonna say.
I don't think it's gonna be a party like that first match against Torino, but
Yeah, it's
I
gonna be
see
3 goals.
Inter
Watch.
beating Udinese, right? And I believe there's a long break right after match day two, right? If I'm not
Yeah, there is
mistaken.
the national team
So,
break.
and I think they'll wrap up right the second match day with a victory. I don't think again that it's going to be as big as a party as the opening of the season was. I could see them like 3-1, 4-0.
Yeah, I see 3 nil. Like probably 3 goals.
But
I
they
don't think
probably could have
Udinese is
scored
gonna
like
score.
7 on Torino, right?
Well,
So
they shot 9 times, so yeah.
yeah,
Lazio Hellas
they're
Verona is the
pretty
last
good.
match of match day 2.
Lazio
Um,
again, I didn't have them on the top 6, so I don't have it in the top
yeah, but they're
7.
gonna
So I
beat
think
Verona. Verona's a newly promoted, like a small team. They're not gonna put up any type of fight. I don't think.
no, I think it's going to be an interesting match. I think it's going to be an opportunity for Lazio to kind of say, "Hey, we're still here." Because if they struggle against Verona, I think my prediction may be even a little bit too being too nice on them. Because
Yeah,
again, I just don't see him like Fiorentina for some reason. I don't see Lazio having a better season that they did the prior year. I hope I'm mistaken because it's always nice. Lazio always has got they have some good players.
and they have Sarri
But
too. I mean, he should make some sort of a difference, right? Like the last time he coached in Serie A was with Juve, I think, and he won the title. Uh, he's not a bad manager. He just needs to get his stuff together at Lazio. I think the problem with them is their transfer market was not the best, right? Because they had certain limits on it. So that's gonna be interesting to watch Lazio season. But I think I agree with you. They're not gonna be top 6 or top nothing. They're gonna be out of Europe. I think. I don't even see him getting there unless Sarri finds out some sort of like miracle formula to turn it around with the players that he's got, or they do something
yeah,
crazy in January. But otherwise, it's gonna be tough.
I agree. I
Alrighty.
agree. But match day two, right? Not a whole lot of big matchups, right? For me, it's just going to be interesting essentially to see hey, can the teams that have very good performances keep it going,
Yep.
right? And with some of the teams like Milan that struggled, can they change it around? And then for some other teams that struggled, is like, is this what you're just going to do the entire season? So.
Okay. Surprise transfer of the last 5 days. Who do you got? Who's gonna be the transfer that nobody was expecting that's gonna happen in the last 5 days, according to you?
I mean,
Don't
I
say
think
Vlahovic
honestly
to
the
Napoli. I
biggest.
will kick your ass.
No, no. To your point, it's gonna be hard. I don't see you kind of giving Vlahovic to like Napoli for sure. If he goes to Milan, I would be surprised. To your point, but honestly, I think as far as biggest signings that may still join any club that has a chance of winning the title, I think the biggest difference maker will probably be if you can bring back Colomwani. To be honest.
Probably.
I
I would
think
agree with
that
that.
that's going to be the biggest difference maker, and obviously depending on who Napoli bring on. If they bring Hoyland, I would give the edge to Juve bringing back Colomwani.
Even if Napoli are complete the Hoyland signing.
Yeah, even if that goes through, I would still say that adding Colomwani to just either play with David, which I don't think so. That's something to figure out there because I think what they have right now is working and will get better. And David, he scored a great center forward goal, but he also did a good job in kind of playing with his back towards goal and kind of having some good touches to other players, like and quick one touch right passes that were right on the money. One to Yildiz, which he also almost scored, right, and he almost repaid him for assisting his goal.
Yeah.
Um, let's see, but to me again, other than that, I don't know anything else that's going on that can have a bigger impact than potentially Colomwani joining Juve again, unless all of a sudden Vlahovic joins Napoli
So
or
a
Milan.
couple of transfers are kind of hanging in the balance, right? So you mentioned Højlund to Napoli. That one is something that they still haven't officialized, but that they're talking about. Then there's also Rabiot uh, to Milan, apparently, after that
I mean,
discussion,
but what
that
Rabiot are
fight.
you gonna get if you get the Rabiot the
Rabiot is
way
a
he was
solid
playing
player, regardless.
At Juve
He was
at
great.
Juve when he left? I don't know because I didn't see him play in the French
Well,
league
he
last
was team
season,
of the
so
season this season in the French league. He's one of
he
the
was
best
what?
players in the French league. So
So maybe it would be interesting. It has to see how does he line up with next to Modric and Salamakers. Because sorry, you can't take Salamakers off the pitch because he was, in my opinion, the best player for
I
Milan
don't think
in that
that's
first
who he
match.
would be replacing. He's more of like a physical bottom of the midfield type player. He's not gonna replace like a creative playmaker.
But then that's the thing. Do you want to have two players kind of like that, where you got Modric and Rabiot, who don't have a lot of pace?
But Modric is not physical like Rabiot. If anything, you would have Modric and Rabiot play together, and Makers maybe. I don't know if you're
Yeah,
gonna do
Salamakers
that.
more on
Forward,
the right side of the pitch, right?
right?
I could see that, but for me, I wouldn't. That would be one of the few players that I would definitely not question starting next match for Milan. But yeah, that would be a good signing. But again, I would still, even if Rabiot joins Milan, I would say that Colomwani joining Juventus would have a bigger impact.
I think that's looking more and more like it's gonna happen. I think already Paris Saint Germain has set their price. It's not 70 million like they were saying. It's something closer to 60. But I think Juventus are willing to get up there as long as they can pay in a couple of, you know, rates. Like it's not all at once.
I
Um,
mean, if they're bringing back Colomwani, they're gonna sell Vlahovic because that's gonna be even less playing time for Vlahovic.
yes.
Right? He's not gonna want to stay.
Yeah, I
Right?
agree.
So
I agree.
maybe I don't know somebody else is interested. I know Newcastle is going through the Isak drama,
Hmm.
right? Maybe heading over there, but it's hard to see Juventus giving him to Milan or Napoli, even though he would be a good fit on both teams. Simply for the fact, because you know that he would have a great season on any of those two teams.
I don't think Juve want to give him to a club in Serie A. That's the first thing.
This is
Secondly,
turned into the Vlahovic show.
well, yeah, I mean, it's the Inter slash Vlahovic show. But I think that's because Vlahovic is the most intriguing transfer rumor right now in the Serie A. I think, right? Because everybody's like, oh,
Yeah,
where he's
and
gonna
he
go?
sealed the match for you guys,
Where is he
right? On
gonna
match day
go?
one,
Where
he
is he
sealed
gonna
it. You
go?
guys were down one player. All of a sudden, it's like, oh, do we have to
He's
be worried
he's
here? And
definitely
Vlahovic comes through.
playing. He's definitely playing way better with Igor Tudor than he was doing with Thiago Mota, for sure. Although during the first half of the season, last season before we had Colomwani, Vlahovic was the club's top scorer still. So I mean, again, if he stays, uh, it's gonna be terrible for Juve economically, especially if we bring Colomwani back, because I don't see them. I
That's
don't
what I'm
see
saying. If
Vlahovic playing a
Colomani
lot.
comes back, that means Vlahovic is gone. The thing is, where he land?
Yeah.
He may land maybe on another Serie A club. That's not Milan or Napoli, but can easily see him go to a club in the Prem. Right there, his wages it's nothing out of the norm. Right in the in the Prem. So let's see. It's going to be interesting, but
Yeah.
I would rather have him on the bench or coming off the bench than sorry. I would have rather have Colomwani coming off the bench rather than Vlahovic.
No,
If
Colomwani is
I'm
not
Juve.
gonna come off the bench. He's probably gonna start. If you're
But
paying,
who would you say you can't take off for me, in my opinion? Like, what are you doing? David is gonna stay, right? But who are you gonna take out? Yildiz? You're not taking out Yildiz. You're not taking
prob-
out Colt Seisao.
probably Conceição, I would think.
I don't know about that, man. I like Conceição. I like having Yildiz on one side and having Conceição on the other. I think
But you probably have
they're
Jonathan
both nasty.
David.
They're both fast as hell. They're both very creative, very sneaky.
But Conceição is not that physical. Like Conceição, I think is a
No, no.
better
And
last
Yildiz
30
is a way
minutes.
better passer, in my
Yeah,
opinion,
I
as
think
well.
Conceição is like a last 30 minutes type of player, where like you bring him in when everybody's tired, and then he starts running at defenders and he's devastating. But I think for the 90 minutes, I
But then,
would
would you
play.
play Colomwani more on the right, or
I
play David more on the right,
What I'm thinking
or
is
would you change and play with two up front?
two up front, Yildiz behind them. So like Yildiz would play like a 10 spot, and then you would have Colomwani and David up front. Is what I would
That'll be cool.
probably do. If I had those three, right? Like who's sitting down? The one that earns the least. I mean, whoever you're paying the highest salary is gonna be on the pitch playing. Otherwise, you're doing things wrong.
I mean, does Yildiz make less than Conceição?
No,
And for me, I would that would be the. I'm not taking Yildiz off of the pitch,
no,
dude.
you're not.
He's the spark right now
Yeah,
offensively for
he's gonna
Juve.
play. He's gonna
I
play.
would want to keep Turan as well. So I don't know. It would be
Turan's
interesting,
playing.
but that's a good problem to have, right?
Yeah,
It's not a
yeah,
bad problem to have.
of course.
So
Exactly.
that's what I'm saying versus Vlahovic. That if you were starting Vlahovic again, I would say, okay, you guys definitely have a problem. Right here, if you get rid of Vlahovic, bring Colomwani back, regardless of what you decide to do up front, you're gonna have a nasty combination.
Yeah, I think Vlahovic would score like a ton of goals with this formation, though, like the way that we play now. Because I think in Thiago Motta's formation, he had to do a real huge amount of work just to be able to get the ball. But Tudor's formation has two attacking midfielders right behind the striker. So they do all that work and then they get to the edge of the box. That's why you see Yildiz with all these assists now. Because he gets the ball, dribbles at people, finds the open striker, striker scores. That's basically how it works now. You know, and you have two of those. One of them is Conceição, the other one's Yildiz. The only thing about Jonathan David and Colomani playing together is they're both right-footed. I think the reason that it works really well with Conceição and Yildiz is because Conceição plays on the right side and he's left-footed. And he cuts in and he shoots with his left foot, right? And then Yildiz is doing the same thing from the left side. He's right-footed, cuts in, shoots with his right. So I don't know. I think it changes a lot.
I think that's only going to be an issue right when you get down to key games or key matches, because again, these teams are going to have a ton of matches this season with Coppa Italia, with Champions League, with the Serie A, right? Any other tournament that they come up with from now till the end of the season. So they're going to have their chances. What's going to be interesting is like on that third match against Inter, if it does go through, who starts?
Yeah, it's gonna be Jonathan
in the
David
key
because
matches,
he's always been
right?
like, and also depends.
Tudor's go to.
You know, the thing about the international breaks is somebody people come back broken. So hopefully that's not gonna be the case this time.
Now, after the international break, that flag may have some tears because if Italy misses another World Cup, third one in a row, it's gonna be pretty pathetic.
I mean, yeah. It's gonna be very sad, and it's just gotten harder and harder to classify in Europe because every team is so good. You know, it's not like you're classifying like trying to classify or qualify. I wanted to say qualify in this, in other regions where it's fewer powers.
More balanced, right,
Way more
between a
balanced.
lot of nations that used to be right down in the bottom of the totem pole, right? Like
Yeah. Italy just
having
changed their coach, right? So if Gennaro Gattuso doesn't get them playing well, he's gonna kick their ass in the locker room. So it's gonna be interesting to watch. All right, bro. I think we pretty much wrapped this one up.
good.
You want to take
We're
it
good
away?
ready to wrap this up. Appreciate everybody for listening in. If you're still with us, don't forget to like and subscribe. Comment down in the comment section. Let us know if there's anything that you wanted us to
Yep.
touch on that we didn't get a chance to talk about. Let us know your opinion. If you think that any of our thoughts and what we think or our predictions are dumb as hell, let us know in the comment. Would
This
like to
guy
hear about it.
crazy.
Uh, but it's great to just talk about Matchday 1. Looking forward to Matchday 2. Then we have the long break. Hopefully, we'll keep this going. Right, but again, would love to get your thoughts and feedback. But with that, I appreciate it. My name's Marco Romano,
And I'm
and along
Tito.
with
Tito Yang as usual.
thank you everybody. Peace, and we'll see you soon.
Alright. Hey, what's that
The fuck
confetti
is that
stuff,
falling on
bro?
me, bro? Stop falling on me.
Peace out.